As visual communicators, our project serves as a visual for brands we are working for. Because in this part of the world, we judge and are judged by appearance. We are in fact the reason why most people attend some events. This happens when the IV or flyer of the event communicates well. My name is Ekiade Adetunji. Welcome to my How to Use Background series. Design is what I do, and I'll be sharing with you how I make successful design. At this point, I'm going to roll my logo intro. I have a platform for designers on Telegram. It's called The Creatives. We always have our design review every Friday where I critique design projects. During our last week review, this design was one of the artwork that was posted for me to critique. I shared why this artwork is not successful. Part of it is the project looks dull. There's nothing abstract to grab attention. Part of what makes us come up with dull projects is when we don't fully understand the project. Here is my solution to this. When it comes to award event flyer, know it has to look corporate and professional. It has to have the VIP feel. To add to what I'm trying to say, the dress code on this project says gentlemen should be on corporate and ladies on evening wear. Now to the tutorial. I'm going to use two applications to achieve this project. I'll be using Photoshop and Illustrator. I'll design the title with Illustrator. I'll be using shape and text to achieve this. Because the people that will be awarded on that day are very special, I'll use star shape to depict these on the project. Then I'll add my background and add other effects to the project with Photoshop. Let's start. Okay, so if you need the exercise file for this tutorial, I'm going to put links to where you can get it in the description section of this video. Okay, so let's create a new document. So I'm going to click on file and I'm going to select new. So for this project, I'm going to target title. I'm going to make my width and height 800 by 800, but this is not the actual size for this project. We're only using this to draw the title here in Illustrator. So I'm going to click on the create button. I'm going to drag and drop the image of the star, and I'm going to scale this down. So then I'm going to select image trace, and I'm going to hit the expand button here, and I'll go to object and hit the ungroup option here. Now the reason why we're doing this is after clicking the image trace, we're going to end up having this solid white box around our silhouette. So we need to take that out. So to take that out, we need to make sure we ungroup the solid fill layer from the silhouette. So I'm going to drag this way now and hit the delete key on my keyboard. So I'm going to switch from fill to white by clicking on this icon here, and I'm going to add more stroke to this like so, and I think this is good for me for now. And I'm going to move this to this side, and I'm going to go to my text tool, and I will type the title, or let's just copy it from my notepad here, and I'm going to start with the dinner. I'll paste it, then I'll scale this real big like so, and the font I'm going to be using here is going to be Gotham. So type Gotham, and I'll select the Gotham black. I'm going to close the tracking, so I'll reduce the tracking so as to reduce the space between the letters, and I'll make a copy by holding on Alt and drag, and I'll paste a word in here like so. All right. So I don't like the fact that the angle of my star is looking this way, so I need to take out some of the points here. So for this, I'll delete this. All right, and I'll do the same thing here, same thing here, here, here. Okay, So I'll select this side and click here. Let's zoom in. Drag this down. Okay, so this is what I want to achieve. All right, I want the corners of my shape to be this sharp. So I'll do the same thing here. I'll drag this down. I don't have an issue with that side. So I'll click here and just drag this down. All right, so we need to add more stroke to the shape of the star, because if you look at the width of my letter here is too much wider than the star, so I need to add more stroke to this. So I'll keep clicking till when I am satisfied. All right, you know what, let's just stop here. Okay, so then I'm going to take out some of the points here. Then I'll use the direct selection tool to do this. So I'll click here. I'll delete this point here by hitting the delete key, and I'll click again, delete. All right, and here it needs to go off, and this side needs to go off. This needs to go off. Okay, and I'm going to move this here. Okay, so what I'm trying to achieve is I still want to be able to see. I still want to achieve the shape of the hand of the star here. So I'm going to draw a line here. Normally I'm not supposed to delete this side before doing this, but I don't want to go back, so I'm just going to drag this here like so, and I'll add more stroke to this. All right, so I'm going to move this here, and then I'll make sure this is right about here. All right, we can even increase the size of the text more like so, and this should go up, and I want to have the same font size, so I'll copy the size here and I'll come here and paste it. Okay, and this guy here needs to go in. Okay, and I'm gonna draw a path like so, and I'm going to add more stroke to this. Okay, and I'll make the color of the stroke red so as to be able to see what I'm doing clearly. And this should be here. You know what, let's take this reduce the tracking. So let's add more tracking, excuse me. So I'm going to scale this down, move this to about this point. Okay, and this should be somewhere around here. No, let's just move it here. All right, now scale this down a bit. This needs to go up. This should be up about here. Yeah, this is good. And I'm going to reduce the tracking on this a bit, because I'm going to be cutting out some part of the letter D, so I don't want to affect the shape too much. All right, so I'm going to stop right about here on this, and I'm going to add the ant sign. Then I'll scale this down. This should be here like so. I don't think I need this anymore, so I'm going to delete it, and I will do the same thing to this. I'll delete it also. All right, then I'm going to make a copy again, and I'm going to type night, but this time I'm going to use light style and scale this down and position this somewhere around here like so. I can even scale this down a little bit. All right, you know what, let's just hide this. So I'm going to create a new layer, and I'm going to select the star and move this to a new layer, and this should be behind the first layer, and I'm going to hide it. So I am going to cut out this letter A from the and sign, but before I do that, I need to first copy the and sign. Okay, and I'm going to add stroke to this, but before I even add stroke to it, it's always good to have a backup. All right, so I'm going to hold on Alt and drag to position this here to make a copy of it, and I'm going to select the two objects, and I'll go to type and select create outline to convert this to a fill object, and I'm going to select the world option here from the Pathfinder option, and I'm going to add stroke to this. So I'm going to click here to add more stroke. The tail of the and sign is very, very important. So I am going to move this. Okay, you know what? Let's just move it out a bit. Okay, then I'm going to leave it like that. Okay, then yeah, so we have 8 as our stroke, so I'm going to type 8 here so as to not forget the points for our stroke. So I have 8-point stroke. Okay, all right, so what I'm going to do is to convert this to a fill object. So to do that, I'll go to object and select expand and make sure the fill and stroke option is checked and click on the OK button. Now we have our text now as a fill layer, and I'm going to weld this again by clicking on this icon. And what I'm going to do now is to trim this from the and sign. So we need to convert this to a fill object also. So I'm going to click on the create outline, and I'll select the two objects, and I'm going to go to the shape builder tool now, and I'll hold on Alt and just drag to delete this from the sign and sign, and then it's off. If I make this visible and you click this and I'll position it here, you should have this. All right, good. So the next thing I'm going to do is to convert this star shape to a fill layer. So I think I still need to move this in a bit. Actually, I'm not really feeling the way it is at the moment, so I'm going to move this into about this point, and now I'm going to so I'm going to delete this. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to convert this to a fill layer. So I'll go to type and select create outline, and I'll make a copy of this again and just drag it somewhere around here. And then I'll make this also turn to a fill object. So I'll go to object and select expand. Make sure the two options is checked again and click on the OK button. Now I'm going to trim this from this star shape, but before we do that, we need to add our point. So I have 8-point stroke here, so I'm going to hit here and click the OK button. No, but for this I'm going to use 16. I have to use double of it. Yeah, this is good. Then I'm going to shift select the two object now, and I'm going to click on so I'm going to select object and select expand again to convert it to a fill, to convert the stroke of this object here to a fill layer. So I'm going to click on the OK button again, and I'm going to select this option, and now I'm going to trim this from this shape. So to do that, I'm going to shift select this and select the second object, and I'll go to the shape builder tool again, and I'm going to hold on Alt and just take this out from the project like so. I'm going to do the same thing here, and now oops, that's not how I'm supposed to do it. I'm not supposed to take out this bottom part. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is make sure when you're applying this, don't make it touch any of this. All right, so I'm going to hold on Alt again, and I'll do it by making sure that I didn't go beyond the shape of the letter. Okay, so I have this now. This is perfect. Then I'm going to move this back to this place like so. Now we need to do the same thing to the and sign. So I'm going to make a copy of this again. Come here and add stroke. So this time I'm going to use 16, which is the double of 8. And I'll go to object and expand it again and hit the OK button. Then I'm going to weld it. Something is not working here. So object, expand, OK, and weld it. And then should select the star, shape builder tool, and I'm going to hold on Alt and drag to take that out. Take this out from here, and I'm going to move this back here like so. Now you see we now have our text visible, and I think we don't need this anymore, so I'm going to just delete this, and we are going to take this to Photoshop. So but before we do that, we need to first convert this to a fill object. All right, so I am going to go to type and select gray outline. You know what, let's just move this dude in a bit. Time to take this to Photoshop. So I am going to launch my Photoshop application now. So I'm going to click on file and select new, and for this project I'm going to target D and A N. All right, then I'll make sure my width is set to 720 by 900. Now the reason why I'm using this frame size is because this is going to be on social media, so I'm trying to achieve the same frame size that the designer used. All right, now please don't forget to change your color mode to RGB. All right, because using CMYK will not allow you to make some, to apply some effects in Photoshop. Okay, so I'm going to make my resolution be on 100, and I'm going to select the create button. So now I'm going to go back to Illustrator, and I'm going to copy this. Then I'll go back to Photoshop, and I'm going to paste it. So when you're pasting this, make sure you are on the smart object option, and I'm going to select the OK button. Then I'm going to scale this down like so. So I don't like this side of my star, so I'm going to adjust that by clicking here, and I'm just going to push this out like so. Okay, so I think it's better this way. So I'm going to copy it and go to Photoshop. So I'm going to delete this, don't need this, and I'll paste it now and select the OK button. Then this should go down like so, and I'll position this somewhere around here. Okay, and I'm going to hide this, and it's time for me to start bringing in my background. So I'll drag this and drop here like so, and I'm going to rotate it. Then I'll scale it. So I'm using two different gold background for this project. So I'm going to rotate this and scale this bit. Now, so the reason I'm using these two background is because so the first one has too much noise, and this second background is to calm down the noise on the very first background. All right, so I'm going to reduce the opacity of this. All right, now you see that we have less noise on the background. This is the before and this is the after. So I'm going to position this behind this layer, and I'm going to put the two background in a group. So I'm going to call this BG. All right, and I'll make this visible. All right, then I'll scale this big like so, and this should be somewhere around here. So then I need to add my guide. So I'll go to view and select new guide layout, and for this project I'm going to use the 8 columns grid, and my top margin is going to be 45, left is going to be 45, bottom is going to be 45, then right is going to be 45. Then I'm going to select the OK button. All right, then so for now I need to hide my guide. All right, so I'm going to hit Ctrl H on my keyboard to do that, and so I'm going to switch my screen now so that we can select light effect that we can use on this project. Okay, so now I'm on Google Image, and I'm going to look for light flare. Okay, let's see. I think I like this. All right, so this is good. So I'm going to drag this and drop into my project like so. All right, so this is the light effect that we got from Google, and I am gonna hold on Alt and clip this inside the shape that we drew from Illustrator, and this should go down about this side. Now let's just increase the size with a free transform. So I'm gonna just push this down to about this point. Okay, this is good. You know what? Let's just add more noise to this. All right, so I'm just reduce this a bit more. All right, so we need to create noise. Okay, so I'm gonna create a new layer by holding on Alt and click on the new layer icon and call this noise. Then I'm gonna change my blend mode to soft light and check the fill with soft light neutral color 50% gray option and click on the OK button. Then I'll go to filter noise and select add noise. So for this, I'm going to increase this to let's say 12.50, and I'm going to select the OK button. So then I'm going to add my next text, which is Youth Week 2021. I'll paste that here. Then I'm going to use the same font that I use, which is bold, and I'll make this cap. I mean the font name is Gotham, not bold, and I'm going to scale this down. All right, and this should be here. Let's scale this down. All right, then I'll change the color of this to this dark brown color. And then I'm going to zoom in, and this should be here. And I'm going to draw a shape, a square shape. All right, and I'll change the color of this. Change the color of the shape to this. And we need to take out the outline. And this should be somewhere around here. I decided to put it there because I actually want that part to, not to just look boring. All right, and that's why I decided to put that there. Okay, so I'm gonna stop right about here. Okay, then I'm gonna bring my guide now. Okay, and it's time for me to start bringing the other information in this project. So I'm gonna copy this. Okay, and I'll bring out this text too and paste the text. Then turn off cap. And I'll position this here and scale this down. All right, so I need to tweak the date because the way it is going to affect my layout. So I'm going to make this 6 p.m. like so, and reduce the tracking. So when you're adjusting the tracking, you need to make sure you don't reduce this to the point where the letters will start overlapping on each other. All right, so I'm going to just scale this and make it touch the other guide like so, and I'll just push this up like so. No, that's too close. Let's make it a little down. All right, and I'm gonna copy the address. But the font style should be something around regular or book, yeah. And I'll scale this down. Okay, and this should be here. No, let's just break it. And this should be here. Distance. Okay, and I'll just reduce this a bit. Let's just make this medium. Let's see what medium is going to look like. I think medium is fine, so I'm just going to push this here. All right, and this should be here. Okay, then I'll make a copy of this again. I'll move this up. I'll move this here, and I'm going to type red carpets. Scale it down. So make a copy again. Just type 4 p.m. Scale this bit. Messed it up. So if I hit Ctrl H to hide the guide now, this is what we have. If I zoom out, no. So the text are too close. So I'll bring out the guides again, and this time this needs to go. Okay, so we have to add another guide here, but this should be at the center of the guide. All right. So don't think because you create a guide now you can't add other guide to it. No. Remember, the guide is not a prison, like what I always say to my students. It's not a prison. It's just there to help you make your content balance. All right. So I'm going to just move this here and take out the free transform and just scale this big like so. And I'm gonna put this here. I don't need this anymore. Okay. So this should be here like so. Yeah, this is good. So then I'm gonna just make this bigger a bit, but this should align with this. Okay, perfect. Let's see, this is, yeah, this is good. All right, then you know what, let's just do the same thing again to this side. Okay, so I'm gonna put the same thing here, and I'm gonna delete this now, and this should be here. It should be here. So then I'm gonna scale this down. Put this there. Put this here. Okay, and this should go up a bit like so, and I'm gonna move this here like so. So if I hit Ctrl H now, we have this, and I'm going to add the dress code. Medium. Then I'll add another guide here, and this should be on the same line with this, and I'm gonna draw a shape here. All right, now the reason why I added this shape is because I want this side of my layout to be balanced. So if I hit Ctrl H now, I have this. So that's the reason why I added that shape to it. So if I hit Ctrl H again, I have the visible. All right, and so what I'm going to do is I'll add more shape. All right, I'm going to add more of this shape to the project so as to not to make my background boring. All right, so I'm going to position this here, and I'll create a group for it. I'll call this, or better still, let's just move it here. All right, since we're having more copies of this, and I'll change the blend mode of this to let's say overlay. So I'll make a copy of this, and I'll position this here. Apply the free transform and scale this, right, like so. And I'm gonna add more stroke to this. I'll make this 17. I think 17 is too much, so let's make it 15. Okay, yeah, this is good. I'll make a copy of this again, and this should be somewhere around here. Bring out the free transform and just scale this down. All right, and this should be, let's say 8. Okay, I'll make a copy of this again, and this needs to be here. Make a copy. It needs to be here. Be here. Make a copy of this. And this needs to be here, like so. A copy again, and this can be somewhere around here. Then I'm going to select the group or the folder and reduce the opacity like so. And if I hit the Ctrl H on my keyboard now and I zoom out, we have this. All right. And so I think we are going to stop here, I guess. All right, now this is good. So this is not the only solution to achieve project like this. There are so many different styles or concepts you can come up with. I hope you learned something from this tutorial. If you don't want to miss any of my tutorial, hit the subscribe button today and remember to click the post notification bell. Like, comment, and share this tutorial with your graphic design friends and family. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.